I responded to the call. When I got there, at first, the only thing I could see was partially somebody's feet. I got out of my vehicle and I raced over. I seen what appeared to be a young man, 13, 14 years old, because he was so tiny. He was laying on his back and he was tied to the bottom end of the pole. I did the best I could. The gentleman laying on the ground, Matthew Shepard, was covered in dry blood all over his head. There was blood underneath him, and he was barely breathing. He was doing the best he could. I was going to breathe for him, and I couldn't get his mouth to open. His mouth wouldn't open for me. He was covered in, like I said, partially dry blood and blood all over his head. The only place that he did not have blood on him, on his face, was where it appeared to be where he had been crying down his face. His head was distorted. It did not look normal. It looked as if he had a real harsh head wound. He was tied to the pole with his thumbs out in what we call cuffing position, the way we handcuff people. He was tied with real thin white rope that went around the pole about 4 inches up off the ground. His shoes were missing. He was tied extremely tight, so I used my boot knife to try to slip between the rope and his wrist. I had to be extremely careful not to harm Matthew any further. He was bound so tight. I finally got my knife through there. I'm sorry. We rolled him over to his left side, and when we did that, he stopped breathing. Immediately, we put it back on his back. That was enough an adjustment. It gave me enough room there to cut him free. I seen the EMS unit trying to get to the location. Once the ambulance got there, we put a neck brace on him, put him on a backboard, and scooted him out from underneath the fence. Then Rob drove the ambulance to Ivinson Hospital's emergency room. They showed me a picture. Days later, I saw a picture of Matthew. I would have never recognized him.